This is the Newsload.
Hi, I'm Carrie Anne Stevenson, and I'm here with Newsload. And today, I am beyond excited to be able to interview today Susan Stewart. Hello, Susan. How are you today?
I'm great, and I'm so excited to be on the show. Good to see you again.
It's so good to see you. It's so good to see those sparkly blues.
Well, I mean, my eyes are like one of the things that aren't aging. So so we'll just focus on those. Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm glad they're holding up.
When you were a kid, were you able to get like a lot of stuff just by batting those baby blues?
Batting my big blues, right. Well, yeah, likely my looks have been a big advantage throughout my whole life. I'm just saying that really with, my tongue firmly pressed in the inside of my cheek. But you never know what they've done, how they've helped me over the years.
And how did it help your career when the Ellen DeGeneres show was going?
Well, my likeness to Ellen was, I think, again, a big advantage. I think it was a shtick that worked really well. My likeness to Ellen now is a little bit like driving a Tesla. That's kind of where we're at. I'm thinking about growing my hair. I don't know. It's certainly not something that I emphasize. I don't draw people's attention to as much as I used to.
Yeah, she was like Hollywood's like superstar, and then I don't know what happened. People started spreading rumors that she's like mean to her staff or something, and then it's just like, no, I look like her, but I'm nicer than her. And the truth is, she's aged a little bit badly, and you still look so fresh.
Well, see, here's the thing. Ellen was under really good lighting for all those years, and now she's not in the studio. So I really think it's just more of the illusion has been removed. Yeah, I think with Ellen, I think the rule applies where there's smoke, there's fire. So I think something definitely was a bit toxic about her leadership. And even perhaps how she treated the guests. I think there's something going on there. I don't think she is as nice as perhaps we were led to believe. But I also think, in the same breath, I think there's an element of patriarchy as well, right? We hold women to this different standard. So as a leader, there was the expectation that Ellen was going to be really, I don't know, motherly with everyone and nurturing and just sweet all the time. So there's that idea that, a strong female leader, if she has to put her foot down or draw the line in the sand or stand up for herself, she's a bitch. But, a man is just assertive. It's that kind of thing. I do wonder about that too. Anyway, that's
it must be very frustrating. And then, of course, there's the scandal of her DJ committing,
I know. And fingers have been pointed to her that she wasn't good for his mental health. I don't know. It's right.
He didn't like the goat sacrifices or something, and
right, something like that. I mean, of course we don't know what happened. Of course we don't know Ellen at all. But sums up for sure. I mean, yeah, like I said, where there's smoke, there's fire.
So I know that you work out a lot, which I think is terrific. It's good for your mental health. And I really respect it to be able to calm your energy and your nerves down before a show, which is such beautiful advice, because I have to admit, even like a week before a show, I get really antsy. So to just go for a walk, lift some weights, do some stretches. It's such a beautiful idea.
Yeah, it what it does really is it it ends or it closes what's called the stress cycle. So back, in our caveman and cavewoman days, stress was real danger. And we had that natural opportunity to rid our bodies of the stress and tension by, running like hell away from a saber-toothed tiger, right? And then we returned to the village and we felt safe, and that regulated our nervous system and created that, sense of safety. And the loop was closed. It was like, okay, beginning, middle, and end to the stress. But now, right, we get ramped up for a show, and our thoughts start kind of racing a bit about the show, and we maybe start doing some future fortune telling kind of thing and trying to, we get caught up in some stories about how it's going to be and all that kind of thing, right? So we've got that stress in our bodies, and we have to create that opportunity to mimic the running away from the ferocious animal. So working out for me is a way to just, like I said, kind of end that stress cycle, move the energy out of the body.
And do you have a special favorite dish that you eat before dinner? Do you go hard on carbs, or do you go light on like a fruit plate?
Let's see. Well, when I have a show, I have a late lunch, and that's about it until after the show. I just find it very hard to ingest food when I'm gearing up to go on stage. So I just try to really get a lot of protein in the breakfast and the lunch, and then we just, then we're on water and let's go.
Yeah, because there's butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah, some people can do it, right? I do a lot of corporate comedy as well, and there's comedians that will sit at the table with the clients and have their dinner before they get up to do the show, and it's like, oh my God, I'm at the back of the room pacing, right? Like, I'm just trying to not launch into a panic attack. Thanks,
Yeah. Robin Williams, before his live in New York, they had the camera on him before he went on stage, and he was like literally cursing the director through the camera, going like, I don't want to do this. This is bullshit. Like Robin Williams. But, like you're so nervous and you're so excited, and there's so much, like emotion that of course you don't want to do it. You want to go home and you want to go watch a movie.
Yeah, there's lots of times where I'm like, all right, let's get this over with. I question why I do it. Why do I do that? Why do I do this? But then, you get on stage and you get your first laugh and you get going and you're like, it's the best. So yeah. The mind games before is actually tougher than the show. Really.
Yep.
Yeah.
The extreme joy of getting that echo, that like, and it's all you're not in a band, you're not in a sketch group, you're not writing with Will Ferrell or something like that. It's you and what you said. It's so intoxicating. It's an adrenaline rush, and you definitely calm down and you're soothed. Oh, they like me. Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, you just know that moment when you get them on your side. You kind of got the hook happening, and it's also just really quite meaningful to make people laugh. Like, these are wild times, and the tension level is high, and so when you can help people just to release that tension with the laughter and help them forget about all that's going on for a few minutes, that's quite meaningful.
Yeah, Joan Rivers said it's a gift to be able to make people laugh.
It is. I really do. I feel like, in a way, I mean, this might sound weird, but I feel like amongst all other comedians, are healers in a way that we're doing healing work, as much as other modalities of healing. But yeah, all I can say is when I have an audience member come up to me and hug me or whatever and say, thank you so much. I haven't laughed like that in so long. It's really just kind of really, it's almost like a spiritual moment for me. It's really cool.
And we absolutely adore, all the work that you're doing. You have a show that you're putting on to raise money for hospitals right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for mental health in particular. So, yeah, back in 2023, I survived what's called a mental health crisis. I attempted suicide. And then I wrote a comedy show about it. Why? Yeah, natural progression, right? Um, but I think it reveals a lot about just what it is to have mental illness, such as depression and anxiety. But it also helps people to have a giggle about our struggles, and whatever disorder you might be managing. Mine is generalized anxiety, but of course, there's many other options out there. But yeah, it's a show that I created to help reduce stigma, push the conversation a little further along, lend my voice to the movement, and then raise money for mental health units in hospitals. So yeah, that's kind of been what I've been focused on for the last couple years. Yeah.
And we appreciate it so much. You driving all over to be able to help and give back and find the funny out of the tragedy. It's a beautiful dance, really.
Yeah, well, as we comedians say, tragedy plus time equals comedy. And, with time, it is usually easier to see the humor in something. And God knows the crisis wasn't funny. Even the recovery process wasn't funny. I spent 3 weeks in the hospital, like in the psych ward of a hospital, and then 9 weeks at the Homewood Health Center in Guelph, going through a whole recovery program there. So yeah, that wasn't really that funny. But there's funny parts now. And so I like to tell the story and shine a light when I can on the lighter side of things. So yeah, like for example, you came to see the show back in the fall, and you might remember the story of the guy in our trauma unit, because the unit that I was in was all about healing trauma responses. So a guy in the trauma unit one day packed up his stuff and bolted. And you would think it could, because what happened next was the staff at Homewood went outside to search the grounds for this guy. And you would think that the search for the guy would be restricted to staff, but that wasn't the case. It was a free-for-all. So there we were, a bunch of trauma patients out there looking for more trauma. So yeah, there we were in the dark of night looking for this guy's body. I mean, you can't write that stuff. You can't write that stuff, right? Like, I mean, it was rehab, right? So like, just think about it. I couldn't have like a beer or a wine, but I could go out into the dark of night and look for a dead body. So you gotta laugh. It's stuff like that. You look back and go, okay, that's fine. We got to tell that story on stage.
It's awful.
Right? It's so dark. It's so dark. It's so funny. Like honestly, a group of 12 trauma patients out in the night looking for, like, really? What were we going to do if we found them? How would have that landed? And just the irony, or not, I don't know if it's irony, but just the craziness that we were permitted to leave the building when that happened. So great.
Because it could
So
be
great.
like one person running away to 12, 15 people running away,
Who knows,
Could be the
right?
fugitive.
What could have happened? There was so much potential for calamity there. So great. So great.
It's chaos. It's beautiful chaos.
Yeah, exactly. And when I was writing the show, I thought, okay, like I wanted to tell the audience about my time in Homewood, but was there anything funny that happened while I was there? Oh, yes, I remember now. So yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of the show is to tell that story. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. Yeah. I mean, the show is a ride. There's parts where people are, you know, wiping tears because they're laughing so much, and then they're wiping tears because of the story and the heaviness of it all. So yeah, it's quite It's quite an experience. It's an experience, I think, to watch it and to perform it. Like I think I'm going through something on stage as much as anyone in the audience.
And that roller coaster and being able to challenge your emotions and be vulnerable to laugh, but also be vulnerable to empathize and also learn and understand and grow together. It's beautiful. And being able to turn this into a book is, how are you doing on that?
Yeah, so first draft, which I just kind of define as the vomitous um process where you just kind of say it all and then you go back and read it and go, oh, that's a piece of shit, and like let's make that better. But and then you realize, in parts that you've said the same thing 3 times, that kind of thing. But this just gives me an opportunity to go deeper than I can in a whatever it is, a 75-minute show. So yeah, just it's even more vulnerable. It's got way more to it, and sometimes it's fun to write it, and sometimes it's not so fun to write it.
Yeah, to relive it and to go over it, and then to
relive it again.
Edit it and then relive it again, and all of that. Absolutely, it must be difficult, and it must sometimes make dinner a little bit awkward. So what'd you do today, hon?
How's the book going? Oh, well, I cried a lot today. Thanks. Yeah, for sure. There's just parts I really don't want to write, but I can't skip them. Like if we're going to do this, let's do this, right? So, when I speak of my trauma, I have to actually talk about the trauma, from my childhood. So it's like, stuff like that. But
and will you eventually do book on tape?
Yeah, I think this would be an incredible audiobook that I would definitely record myself. Yeah, I've never done an audiobook. I've written 3 others and I've never done it, but I think I would definitely want to do. I would want to do this because I think listening, because it's also a comedy show, I think listening to it would just be as powerful, maybe even more. Maybe
I have
more.
A friend who has ADHD, but she's on the road a lot, and she goes through 3 or 4 books a week on tape.
Right.
So being able to share your story just allows more people more exposure to your story, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for the book to come out, and I desperately would love to chat with you for another hour, but
but I've got to go back and get typing and crying again. So
yes. So how can we follow you on susanstewart.ca?
Yeah, so that's the website, susanstewart.ca, and then I think pretty much everyone hops on Instagram once a day. So that is Susan I Stewart. That's probably the best platform to find me. Yeah. I am on TikTok. I think you just type in Susan Stewart. I don't know. TikTok. Sure. Okay. Oh my God, I'm still on Facebook too. So, I'm out there.
That's wonderful. So there's a couple ways to find you.
There
awesome.
are.
And I really want to thank you for your time. I'm so happy that you're healing and you're going through the process, and we're delighted to still be able to enjoy your journey and your jokes.
Aw, thanks, Carrie. It's been a pleasure. So great to see you again.
So wonderful. One last thing, if you can say it loud, say it proud. I love Newsload.
I love Newsload.
Thank you, Susan. I hope you have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is the Newsload.